Hi folks, how are we doing? We have here with us today, let's do a little clap here, the Tascam 8-track recorder, and we are recording today using a Schoeps CMC64, which is just above the frame line. It's right up there. Pull it in. So it's in a pretty good spot, and today we're going to take a look at sound quality, the preamps. We're in a pretty quiet room right now, and the other thing that we're going to do is run a little sync test and see how this runs. So I'm going to hit start. Let's hold this up. And away we go. Let's see that we have sync 12 minutes later. For the price, this is a really nice unit. There's really not a lot to complain about. The question is this a bag-friendly box? Well, one of the features that might drive you a little crazy is that the power button is located right here. That's really what you'd consider the side when you've got it in the bag. The other thing is it doesn't have any XLR outputs. So if you're looking to feed another camera or something else, you're going to have to adapt RCAs. It may not be the greatest thing in the world. You could feed digital outputs. RCA, that'd be fine. You could go to BNC, XLRs, whatever you want. Well, that would be fine. Anyway, we are also recording today at 96 kilohertz, 24-bit, just to see how that sounds. We're just running a single track, and let's see how our sync is, and I'll catch up to you in 11 minutes. A couple of things that I'd like to note about this unit. When you place a SD card in, it's convenient that your camera and the recorder use the same media type, but it's going to want to format that card because it writes a couple of files onto that card. I think they're like preference files that set up the recorder for whatever. It also writes one or two of its own custom folders, and if it sees anything else on the card, a DSIM folder or a miscellaneous, it's going to just say, I don't like this, I'm going to format the card, and that's it. So if you thought about using a card from the camera that you had some room on, if you haven't dumped that card, you place it in here in format, you are up the proverbial creek without a paddle. So you definitely need to be aware of this particular quirk of the unit. Okay, we're doing a little time check here. We're going to look at sync 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We are looking at sync on the Tascam DR-680 being fed with a Schoeps CMC64 right above my head. It's taking phantom power directly off the box. The input is in the high position. I just seem to think it works a little better in that position. I think that the low is actually nothing more than a 20 dB pad that's being thrown on. Fine if you're working in a loud sound environment, but I think for regular miking purposes, you'll want to leave it in the high position. The knob on the front here is a little interesting. They use just one knob to set the levels. There's a menu that you have to drop in. You hit the button and then you can adjust it up and down. I'd say for the most part it works okay. If you're working a very crazy show environment like a reality TV show where you've got all your fingers going at once watching levels, this is really not a very practical setup. But if you're in anything that's a bit more controlled and regular, it works fine. That, or you could combine it with an external mixer and feed the direct ins from each channel into this. You could use the sound devices. 442 would pair pretty nicely with this because you've got 4 outs coming off of each channel. So again, if you look at it for the price, you have to probably accept that there are going to be some trade-offs, and perhaps we can hope that Tascam might introduce a Big Brother model with a few more features and a few things tweaked out that, for example, adding 4 knobs onto the front for setting levels, some XLR outputs, that we would really have a very awesome box. I think the sound quality on the unit is really excellent, again, for the price. We're recording this in 96K and it sounds great. 48K also sounded good, certainly in 24-bit. Okay folks, we are coming up on the magic 12-minute mark. Let's do a little clap here. We are still running with about 1 minute left to go, and we'll see where we're at. If you were thinking about using this in a bag, one of the concerns would be this little dial on the top, which allows you to spin through stuff on some of the menus. It has two menu systems. They're kind of weirdly split up. Some run on the front control, some run on the top. I don't think it's really the end of the world. One of the things that this dial and menu sets up is the recording format. If you can live with this, if you can live with a bag setup where you've got a little bit of play or you've set this thing up to be easy to lift out, then I think you could be pretty comfortable working with this unit. It does come with a shoulder strap, so they did intend this to be portable. It's got a small pair of lugs that clip on. Seems to work okay, but I really think you'd want to enclose this thing rather than smack it around, because there's all these switches on the top and buttons, and it is built of plastic. It seems reasonably sturdy, but I don't think it's quite up to the build of those much more expensive recorders that are built out of aluminum. Okay, folks, for whatever reason, the camera ran out at about 11 minutes 30 seconds. I guess it was using a little bit more compression to deal with this image for whatever reason. So we just made it in, and if you take a look at the waveform up on the screen here, it is consistently, at least with the unit that I have, about 600 samples or so off. That's maybe about a quarter of a frame or so, which for 11-12 minute take is absolutely positively more than good enough. No one is ever going to see such a small discrepancy. So this gets my thumbs up as being a great bargain for the price. Obviously, the next step up from this unit would probably add a 0 onto the price. Unfortunately, there really isn't anything else in the middle of the market. So I think that you should seriously take a look at this unit, especially if you're starting out and you need to record more than 1 or 2 tracks.